Hi, Al. It's Kelsey Nelson, and you are tuning in to the book marketing question answer. You will see on your screen a little Q&A icon. Feel free to click that at any time and type in your question. I'll try my best to get to all the questions that come up within the next half hour. Very briefly about me, I'm an author. I am co-founder and former CEO of Writerly, a marketplace of publishing services, and I'm also a publishing consultant. You can learn more about me and read publishing articles on kelsey.com. And I'm just going to get right into it because we don't have a lot of time. So I see that the first question that we've got here is from Amanda, and it looks like a social media question right from the beginning. Amanda says, there are many formulas about marketing on social networks. For example, post one update about your book to 2 to 3 that have nothing to do with your book during the release. But what is acceptable at downtime? I post word counts or characters. Is that acceptable? Good question. And acceptable is always kind of a funny word when talking about social media because you really do set the rules. There is etiquette, but acceptable is always what your audience and what works right for you. Personally, I follow the 3-to-1 ratio of what I call gives versus takes, or ask versus a give. If, for example, I'm tweeting about my webinar or even about this, I'll make sure to include at least 3 other posts that are links to other people's articles or tweets about someone else's books or quotes or basically anything else of interest to my audience. I've heard that many people now are tweeting lines from their books with the link to their book, which I think is a wonderful idea, especially if you have some really wonderful lines. But it can be tricky when you don't have a launch or you don't have a current promotion. I asked the same question to Guy Kawasaki, who wrote Ape, Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur, and he said that his ratio is something more like 20-to-1, where he tweets 20 content links to every single ask that he might have. But I don't think he's a very good example, because if you go look at his stream, he tweets hundreds of posts a day on all his different networks. One thing that would be helpful is to think about what it is that you're trying to get out of your social media during those downtimes, as you call them. I think those times are actually really wonderful times to be building up your audience and your readership. Word counts is fun, that's engaging, that allows people to see inside your process. But even better, if during that downtime you can be driving traffic to your website, and then on your website having something to convert them to subscribe to your blog or join your email list. That will be what is most important and most valuable to you. I see people treat Twitter and all social media as an endpoint to their marketing plans, where if you think of the sales funnel, where up here at the top of the funnel where it's really wide, that's discovery. That's where people first find you or learn about you. That's Twitter, that's Facebook, that's Pinterest. Those are those first moments. If you're tweeting your sale links right there, you might get some conversion, but it'll be very little. Very few people will see a single tweet, then go to the site, take out their wallet, and make a purchase on the book. What you want to do with your social media is move people down through the funnel. So first on social media, they might hear about you. Now if you can do something to drive them to your website, maybe tweets that you've posted a new blog, or maybe you do a preview chapter, or maybe you talk about your book development, any of those interesting things. Then on your website, you move them further down the funnel and you have some kind of link to join your mailing list with an offer, preferably. Is there anything that you can give them? Is there a short story they can download for free in return for joining your mailing list? And then once you have them on your mailing list, it's much easier to get them to actually buy the book when you run a promotion. So think of social media as the top part of the funnel. You can try selling up there, but your best bet is actually to move them down and to start using that as the starting point for a deeper relationship. I'm going to go to the next question by Amanda. And you guys can vote these questions up by pressing the +1 on the Q&A portion, and then they'll jump to the top. So let's see, I've got, should one focus their efforts differently for marketing fiction versus nonfiction? For instance, is it better to focus locally for fiction as opposed to nonfiction that might do better as mainstream marketing? I actually see this as two different points. There are different things that you can do for fiction versus nonfiction, but I don't think they have very much to do with locality. I love local marketing. If you publish a book, you are able to, of any kind, you'll be able to get a lot more interest from local readers, local bookstores, local media. Local might be a smaller audience, but they have some kind of connection to you. So, for example, your neighborhood might have a neighborhood blog, and it might seem like very small media to get on that neighborhood blog, but that neighborhood blog are going to be your neighbors, and if they see that someone just down the street from them wrote a book, maybe even about the city, or maybe not, maybe it's about space, who knows, the conversion rate is going to be much higher versus if you get in a national media outlet and you're talking to thousands of people with whom you have no connection. You might actually have about the same sales rate as those local outlets. So I always recommend for all authors, look at your local bookstores, look at your local news outlets. This applies to your alumni. If your college has a newsletter or a website or any news like that, or even the Facebook page for your alumni, these things might seem small, but they are local communities, or they're smaller communities, and these people are going to be much more likely to actually buy the book. I had one author who independently published a book in Seattle, and it focuses on Whidbey Island and on the ferries that run between Seattle and Whidbey Island. And he was actually able to get Costco to run a book signing for him regionally. So he was able to get into the local Costco stores because of the local tie-in for his books. For nonfiction versus fiction, yes, there are many different things that you can do. Fiction lends itself to nonfiction lends itself to other speaking topics naturally. So sometimes fiction authors will come to me and they say, I want a lot of media buzz. I want a lot of press about my book. And it's a hard truth, but the fact that you have written a book is not really news to a lot of people, except for those in your communities and circles. So it's really hard to get press just about a book. However, you can get press talking about something that is dealt with in your book. If your book happens to deal, it's fiction, but it talks about immigration issues, then you can pitch an article about immigration issues, and in your bio or in the article, mention your fiction book. If you're nonfiction, it's a lot easier to get press because you're speaking about a topic and you are automatically an expert because you've written a book about it. So when you are marketing nonfiction, I like people pitching much more speaking opportunities, much more press. Huffington Post has blogs that you can actually get on and post your own content-based blogs that if it gets enough views, it'll be picked up and put on the main part of the Huffington Post. So that's a really good place for everybody. Actually, you should all go start Huffington Post blogs right now, and hopefully we'll see some of you moved up to the front page soon. Here's one that says, at what point should an author consider paid advertising? What kinds should an experienced author experiment with versus a debut author? How do you get started with both? Well, paid advertising can be really great if you have budget for it. It can be a very fast way to get a volume of sales that build up some momentum and some visibility and put you up on the list. My favorite is the same as so many others out there. It's Bookbub. Bookbub is a mailing list where they send out a daily email to their subscribers that either has a free or a discounted book. It's hard to get on the Bookbub list because I believe the figure I've heard, and now I'm not sure where I'm quoting this from, but I believe that only 30% of the folks that apply to do a Bookbub ad actually get on. So if you're a debut author and your book has no reviews, it has nothing backing it up, you have no author platform, and you're applying to put out a Bookbub ad, you're probably going to get turned down. You might want to wait until you've got 30 4-star or above reviews, or until your author platform is put out. The authors that I've worked with, I know one author who submitted it 5 times to Bookbub before they finally picked her up, but then they did do it. She was able to get a Bookbub campaign. It worked really well. Every author that I know that has done a Bookbub campaign for a discounted book has made money off of it. Bookbub can be kind of pricey depending on which list you're sending to. Their lists have different sizes, and they're based off genre and reader interest. So you could easily spend $500 to send out a Bookbub ad. But if you make, even if you only make $600 in revenue after the book goes out, it pays off in more ways, because you've risen in the ranks, your visibility has increased, you'll see more sales in the next few days after your campaigns have ended. So other things that you can do for paid advertising, I'm a big believer in the blog tours. There's a number of organizations that will organize a book review tour. So you pay them a little bit of money. Some of them are very cheap. Some of them are about 25 bucks, and some of them are $500. And they will get your book reviewed on different book blog reviewers sites. And it's all timed so that the links link back, and that could be a good way to do it. If you don't have money, but you have really good topics, or you would like to post more stories, you can approach bloggers on your own and offer a guest post on a topic. Again, you'll be more successful if it's not just talking about your book, but talking about something of interest to the readers, and then mentioning your book or including your book in your bio. Other ads that I've seen really effective, Kindle Books and Tips is another daily email that I've liked. Facebook ads can be very effective as well, but they're tricky. You can quickly spend a lot of money and not get any return. A tip that I learned from Catherine Sears of Book Trope that they use to market their Book Trope books is, say your book is really similar to another author's. You can look and see if this book, if that author has a huge following on Facebook, and then create an ad that says, for example, Jackie Collins. If you enjoy Jackie Collins, you'll enjoy this book, such and such. And then you target that ad to readers of Jackie Collins, or people that have said that they're fans of Jackie Collins. So Facebook ads can work. If you're selling a 99-cent book, you're not going to get a lot of money off of this, but if you're selling a $4.99 book, or print books are available as well, it could be worth the cost to do some ads. Good luck with ads. They're always very tricky. If you have $1,000 to spend on ads for your book over the next 6 months, you're doing really, really well. I'm going to get the next question from Megan. Is there a tipping point number of Twitter followers that is the ideal to have before book marketing begins? This is a fun question. The size of your audience matters less than how well your audience is targeted. If you have 1,000 followers who are all readers that all like your kind of book, that's going to be much more effective than a following of 50,000 random people. So I wouldn't worry so much about the numbers. I would worry about what you're doing with them, and how you're engaging with them, and how you're bringing them to your website, and are you running any Rafflecopter campaigns or any free book giveaways. Worry more about how you're interacting with them. Even if you have 1,000 followers, you can get quite a lot of email addresses and actual real connections out of those 1,000 followers. That said, I have noticed that when you get to about 2,000 followers, then you start getting more action on your tweets. When you get to about 3,000 followers, almost anything you put out is going to get something, either a star or a reply or a retweet. So at 3,000, there is some momentum, and then it just keeps growing on up. The bigger you're following, the bigger your funnel, then just the better chances you have of interacting with people and people who happen to be online at that moment. So I say begin marketing right now and grow your following, but focus a lot on who it is that you're following and are these people your desired audience. From SK Wills, what is the best way to target and invite new people to attend your Facebook launch party? It seems spammy to private message others in groups with other groups with an invite, so is there another good way? Well, I love using Facebook for events. I'm not a fan of Facebook. Their organic marketing has just gone to the garbage, and you have to spend money in order to get conversions. However, I do still like it for events. And the reason is, when you create an event on Facebook, anytime your friends or people RSVP, it shows up in their streams. Plus, if you make it public, they can invite other people, and it can be really effective. I think it's still valuable. So if you've got a Facebook launch party coming up, first of all, make sure you've got all the information in there before you start inviting people. Put up a header image. If you do not have graphic design abilities or software, you can use Canva, which is C-A-N-V-A, to create graphics that are very beautiful. So first make sure that the event has all the information. It's not just date and time. It says, what are you actually going to do there? Is there going to be a raffle? Is it fun? Is there cake? Is there wine? Are there cupcakes? Whatever. Make it as compelling as possible. And then start by inviting your friends. And then you can invite groups. You can go to groups and invite the individual people. I don't think it's spammy to invite everyone to an event because the notification that they're going to get is just a tiny little notification that frankly is going to be easy for most of them to miss. I'm invited to so many events that on Facebook that I don't realize I was invited to until they're over, which is really unfortunate. So that's the non-spammy way. Go ahead and invite everybody. It's pretty passive. You're not going to offend anyone by inviting them. And you can start typing, if you belong to a group, you can start typing in the group name, and then it'll show you folks from that group, and you can go through and click and invite all those individual people. Ask your friends to invite their friends. You can even put a post in the group event that says, this is a public event. Please invite your friends. Please invite your writing group. Please invite your grandma. Ask people to invite their friends as well so it goes viral and it spreads around. As far as personal messages, if this is someone that you would send a message to anyway, then go ahead. If this is someone you've never talked to and the first thing you're doing is inviting them to your book launch party, it's going to feel a little bit spammy. Now, also, it just takes a lot of time and effort. I think that you would be better off not sending that message. Unless there's a reason for you to send them a personal message. If you are a big fan of one of their books and you would like to invite them, then by all means, send a personal Facebook message. Say, I loved your book. I'm very excited that my book is coming out. It would be an honor for you to be there. If it's sincere, then that is very valuable as well. But feel free to invite everyone using the little invite button. I've got another question here from Bridget. It says, what do you do when your publisher is dragging their feet on marketing your book, despite all the work you've done and are more than willing to do? Oh, Bridget, I'm sorry. Yes, this is another common issue that I hear, and more authors that are traditionally published are going out and spending their own money, hiring a publicist, or doing social media, or buying ads. And my advice to you would be to set very clear goals, to send them a message about what you are doing so that they know that you are putting in a lot of effort and asking exactly what it is that they're going to do. If they see that you're doing all of these things and you send them a bullet list email, then they know anything that they do is going to have a greater impact because you're making your efforts too. And if you can make a specific request, that's even better. So if you say, you know, I've got these 3 blog posts lined up to go out this week, I'm running this giveaway campaign, I'm doing this, and it's all this week or these 3 days, I would really like you to buy me a Bookbub campaign on this day to complement my efforts. This is the budget, this is the price, this is what it needs to do. So try something specific. And the other thing is to remember that in the end, you are your book's biggest advocate. No one will be a bigger advocate for your book than you are. So it might come down to you. It'd be great if your publisher could kick in more money or kick in more time. But for whatever reason, if they don't wait for them. Keep doing what you're doing and write your next book and keep on going. And good luck. I'd like to know how that works out for you. Megan, what do you feel is the line between connecting with friends, alumni, groups, personal networks, and harassing people you know in order to twist their arms into buying your book? Well, I believe that the people that are connected to you, they really do want to know that you've written a book. They won't be able to buy it or support you if they don't know that you've written it. So by all means, make that announcement. Say my book is out, or I won this award, or I'm looking for beta reviewers. Whatever it is, make your ask. And then that's it. If these people want to join your mailing list, you can email people that have joined your mailing list as much as you want. You can tweet about your book as much as you want, as long as you're putting in other content. But I wouldn't be going to an alumni group or a LinkedIn group and continually posting about your thing. That's when it becomes harassment. But an announcement, by all means do it. They really do want to know. I'm going to move on. Olu says, I wonder whether the quality of the writing is more important than effective marketing campaign. Should the work not speak for itself? I'm going to assume that all of you tuning in have beautiful, high-quality writing in your book, and that is where you're starting with. You're starting with good writing. But if your book has excellent writing, no one is going to know unless you market it and unless you do something to get it out, unless you ask for reviews, unless you put it on a list, unless you do a free day promotion or you send it out to your email list. Your writing is locked between those covers, and no one will know about it unless you actually market it. Now you might think, so I've done a little bit of marketing, I've got my first readers in, shouldn't it just magically happen? Maybe, if you're very lucky, that will happen, but likely not. And if you also consider that it's a really long process marketing the book. I know Ingrid Ricks self-published her book, Hippie Boy, and she continually marketed it for 2 years. So even 2 years after she put it out, she's still doing campaigns and she's still treating it like it first just came out as a book launch. It was at that 2-year point that finally Penguin came around and said that they would like to pick up the book and that they republished it as a Penguin book. Now, that's a long time, and her book is wonderful, but she was playing a long game. If you just put a book out there and expect people to pick it up and read it and immediately it'll go viral, I think you might be disappointed. Unless you're one of the lucky few and for some reason it hits. Move on. How do you feel about book marketing collaboration? More authors involved equal more success, or is it beneficial to focus on your own marketing? Authors can easily band together for blog posts, but any other cool collaboration ideas for a group of authors? I love author collaboration. Some of the best-selling authors that I know have banded together, and the reason that they have that status is because they've helped each other get there. Jacinda Wilder has the indie, I'm forgetting the name of their group. It's Indie Writers or something like that. I'll have to find it and put the link in here. And what they did is that they were 10 writers of similar genres. They wrote romance, and some of them wrote thrillers. And when they started, they all had about the same audience. And They banded together. They actually created an LLC to cover costs and that kind of stuff. And then they did things joint, like they would all put one book into a collection of books. So then when they sell it on Amazon, they're selling this book that has a collection that has one of each of their books in it, and they're all sending it out to all of their mailing lists. So you may have been a fan of Jacinda only before, but now you're also hearing about these authors, and then these other people's readers are hearing about Jacinda for the first time. So they did joint promotions like that. They also did things like if they found a really good web designer, they could share the web designer around the group. Yes, feature each other on their websites. Do things like joint marketing. Hugh Howey did a wonderful joint marketing thing I saw 2 years ago at Book Expo America. He had a table just a couple tables down from Writerly that was him and about 4 other authors. And a table at Book Expo America is obscenely expensive. But these indie authors joined together. They all manned the booth together. They took turns. They all sold each other's books. And that was a way that independent authors could come together and get entrance at something that previously was only available to really high-end publishers and small press willing to spend a lot of money. So yes, the more that you can collaborate with authors, the more we can all collaborate with each other. It only raises all of us up. A really good tip would be to put together a group of 4 or 5 other authors that are at a similar level as you, or a similar stage in their career, preferably that also write in a similar genre so you have reader overlap, and then brainstorm together, see what each other are doing. One thing that's been really helpful for me working with authors, so many authors, is we share what happened when we buy advertising at different places. That alone saves us all so much money when we learn, okay, yes, Bookbub, good. Some of these other ones fell flat. Wonderful. Definitely, yes, collaborate, community, yay. I've got a question here from Lori, and we're almost at 30, but I'm going to just keep going and see if I can get through these as fast as I can. Any tips for marketing a trilogy? Re-release book 1 with minimal publicity. Book 2 will be ready in the fall. Any tips promoting when we miss the boat with book 1? Maybe offer a package deal, still do some marketing for book now. This is one of my ideal situations. I don't know if book 3 is out yet, but promoting a series is really easy because you have the perfect start to perfect entry point for a buy-in with book 1. So you go to book 1, and in the back of your ebook, you make sure that as soon as the story ends, before anything else, the very next thing that they see is some kind of a teaser and a link to buy book 2. That's step 1. Step 2 is that you schedule free day promotions for book 1. So you go to Bookbub. It's cheaper to buy an ad for a free day promotion. You go to Bookbub, you go to Kindle Books and Tips, you go everywhere that you want. You even pay to advertise your free book day, which can be psychologically very difficult, but the whole point is that the free days get massive amounts of interest and downloads. And yes, that can convert to sales afterwards, not as much as it used to, but if you have that page in the back of book 1, what you're really doing is you're buying all those free book promotions for book 1 in order to promote book 2. Abigail Carter wrote The Alchemy of Loss, and her new book just came out, Remember the Moon, and she did a free book download day on Bookbub, and I'm not sure of the numbers. Abby would have to correct me, but I think she got over 60,000 free book downloads, possibly 68,000. Now imagine you're getting all of those eyeballs on that page in order to sell book 2. So that could be very effective. Amanda's got a question here that says, should one focus their efforts differently from marketing fiction? Oh, I think we've got this one. We've already done that one. Oh, and Bridget says with the publisher, she sent the publisher the entire marketing plan. I would again send timely emails in order to kickstart your publisher into promoting you. say, okay, in 3 weeks I've got this, this, and this, and this. I would specifically like you to make this investment and do this. And if you show, you're doing 80% and you're asking them to kick in that final 20%, preferably on something paid. If you're doing all the hard work, writing the blogs and all other stuff, come on, give you a couple $100. But it's notoriously hard to get more marketing budget out of publishers. I do suggest the email with the very specific asks and for a time, and to show it like that. A whole marketing plan, they might read it once and it'll get lost. Or they might say, great, good job, thanks. So make a specific ask and make it timely. And that's all. I should tell you guys that today is Writer Wednesday, and if you're on social media at all, it's a good day where all these writers are hashtagging Writer Wednesday or hashtagging WW and connecting with each other and following each other. So it's a good time to find more writers to connect with. And because it's Writer Wednesday, my author platform webinar series is just $99 again today, but that ends tonight, and they're a limited number, and I think there's only 7 left now. So if you would like to take the webinar workshop for building your author platform, I'll make sure that the link's in the description. If not, feel free to email me at contact@kelsey.com with any other questions you have, and I'll be happy to help. Good luck with your books.